Shalom, everyone. This is not a long video. This is not a teaching video. This is just a video that has been brought to show you what has been brought to my attention and to give you something to think about and really research. We are in a time, this is the age of Aquarius, where we have to go deep within, do our own research, do our own study. Really, it's more about coming back into unity with self. In the age of Pisces, which was in the Iron Age, we kind of stepped outside ourselves and began to try to look for the answers outside ourselves. And even though we still go to books, it's more reading books for confirmation, reading books to build on the inner wisdom and the inner knowledge. And so hopefully most people will get past the Piscean age. I know the Piscean age has levels to it. These ages have levels to it. And so a lot of people, even though they have left religion, they still rely on books heavily as their avenue for knowledge and avenue for wisdom. But wisdom don't come from reading books. Wisdom come from within. And so we receive that wisdom from our great mother. And our mother is wisdom. And so because of that, we have an aspect of her within us. And that wisdom we can tap into. And so people say, well, wisdom is no more than knowledge applied and all these different definitions and labels we like to give to things. But wisdom is an energy. Wisdom is a part of spirit. And wisdom, we all have it. We have earthly wisdom and we have spiritual wisdom. We have wisdom, dead wisdom, which we call Akamoth, which is another aspect of the mother. And then we have that upper wisdom, which is Sophia. And so this is, like I said, it's not a teaching video. And so I'm not going to be teaching today, but I wanted to give you something to think about. And so we're going to be talking about Ra, Amun-Re, and he is the galactic sun. And I know because we hear in 3D, we say, oh, but all feminine. It has to be all feminine. The universe is feminine, so she gave birth to all feminine. And this is where the story of Sophia comes in at. And though the names have been changed over the centuries, they're talking about the same story. And so we know Sophia gave birth to a son. Okay. And then we know in the scriptures they talk about the mother, the great mother, giving birth to her son. And all of creation came forth from the sun. And so it's not actually talking about SON, even though it has been changed. And I'm going to show you that it's actually talking about the sun, Amun-Ra. Okay. And even though we'll see churches on Sunday, a lot of the scriptures have been changed over. So you're going to see the correlation of how they took the ancient text and made it something literal, and they made it about a person. Okay, not to say that these beings don't exist, but even as we are aspiring to be gods, as we say we are here to train to be gods, I don't know what y'all think a god is. A god is a celestial body. Okay, it's a planet, it's a star, it's a solar system, it's a galaxy. That's what a god is. Okay, that's what a deity is. A deity is a celestial body. Okay, and so when we say I'm aspiring to be a deity, I am a deity, I'm aspiring to be a deity. I'm a little God. You remember that movie with Guardian of the Galaxy and volume two, when it talked about ego. Okay, he said he was a celestial. Okay, and they said, "Oh, are you a god?" And he said, "I'm a little God." Okay, and he said, "I made this planet. The planet was a part of him, and he was the planet." Okay, and so when we say I'm aspiring to be a god or a deity, we think of God and deity as these entities that we see on TV and all that, and what we have been told in mythology. Okay, these beings, yes, they did exist, but even as we are aspiring to be a deity, they have already done it. And even though we are deities and we are walking in earth form, Okay, see, these scriptures were pointing at us the whole time. We walk in an earth form. Our true form, when we return back, we will return back to being a celestial being. Celestials are those stars. Celestials are those celestial bodies, those planets, which are wandering stars. Those the deities are the galaxy and the solar system. These are the deities. And then on the deities, you have intellectual spirits, intelligible spirits that live on these deities. Okay, and so we live on a deity. Okay, we call her Gaia. That's a deity. Okay, we live on someone called Kai. This is a deity that we're living on and in. Okay, and so we're gonna go a little bit into this. Like I said, this is not gonna be a teaching, but it was something that was brought to my attention as I was sitting out and enjoying the rays of Ra, and because we want to make everything feminine, because we say feminine is the only thing that can give birth. But even nature shows you there are some exceptions. And I'm going to show you the exception, show you one exception to that rule, and show you how Ra is the father of creation, that he's not a mother, but he's the father of creation. And I'm going to show you how. Okay, and so let's go ahead and get started. And so we hear in scripture all the time the sun. And so we know that the sun, S-O-N, is actually talking about the S-U-N, the sun. Okay, and so the sun was birthed from noon, the primordial abyss, and Nunet, the chaotic waters. And so we call this the primeval waters, right? This is one entity having two aspects, masculine and feminine aspect, or it could be two beings. Okay, Ra was the king of the deities and the father of all creation. Okay, and so this will show you how they tied Ra into Jesus. Okay, and so Jesus is actually talking about Ra, and I know they say, well, he's talking about Tahuti, because yes, Tahuti is also considered the sun too. Okay, but uh, most when you see the scriptures, you can see it aligned mostly with Ra. Okay, and that's just one of the reasons why their church is on Sunday. On Sunday. Okay, and so on all this time you've been worshiping Ra and didn't even know you was worshiping Ra. Okay, and so they tie everything in scripture is tied back to the Egyptian deities. Even the Christmas was tied to the Egyptian deity Horus, um, because they say that he was recognized within the winter, closer to the winter solstice. And so all these things that we think are separate from the ancient text is not. And though we may be taught that um, the Israelites are separate beings from the Egyptians, they're one and the same people. They're not separate beings. They're not separate people. They're the same people. And we have this all the time. You'll have a family member that get mad, and then that family member will leave with a group of their family. They'll leave with their family and say, "We cut ourselves off from you. We're no longer a part of your family. We cut all our ties." That's basically what happened. If we read the real story of Moses, and I may even do a video on this, you'll find out that he was a pharaoh for real, and he left with a group of people. Okay, and these group of people call themselves Israel. Okay. And so they're still the same people. Okay. They still the Kemetic people. Okay. They still Amun-Re, which is the real name for Egyptians. Okay. And so these are the same people. Okay. They're not separate. They were never slaves to the Egyptians, to the Amun-Re, because they are Amun-Re. Okay. And so that's me, Earth and Ra. People are children. And so these are the same people. Okay, they're not separate. They were never enslaved. The pyramids alone are older than what the scriptures say they were built. And so a lot of things have already been proven, that a lot of things in the scriptures are very inaccurate and that they have been taken from older texts and twisted. Okay, and so Ra was the king of the deities and the father of all creation. Okay, and I know a lot of y'all with your divine feminine gonna be saying, no, Ra, the sun, is feminine. I'm about to show you there is a feminine part of the sun, and Ra had children, and those are the aspects of that sun what we looking at every day when we go outside. Okay. And so I'm going to show you the correlation of this thing, the galactic sun. So we just saw that Ra is the father of all creation. So now we got to go to John 1, 1 and 6. And this right here is talking about the word, and we know the word is what they call Jesus. Okay, and so let's listen to it. In the beginning was the word was with God, and the word was God. Okay, the same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. And so they say the beginning of the word was with God. This is talking about the great mother or Noon. Noon is the cosmos, the mother cosmos. Everybody talk about mother cosmos. Okay, so Noon was the mother cosmos. Okay, God is Sophia, or the mother cosmos. Okay, and so this is the primordial waters, the chaotic waters, the primordial abyss. And they say the sun came on birth forth from that. And so the word was the sun was with those primordial waters. Okay, so we know we just read the chaotic waters was Nunet. That's the divine feminine aspect of the primordial abyss. Okay, then you have Noon, which is the masculine aspect of that. And so it said the word was God. Okay, the same was in the beginning with God, which was the mother. All things were made by him, by the Son, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And now we know that we are the children of light, and we know that without light or the source of the sun, there will be no life. Okay. And so the light shining in darkness, and the darkness comprehended not. And then they go into John the Baptist. Okay. And so now we're about to see the correlation of how the sun, okay, I'm going to go back, how the Father, Ra, is the Father of all creation, okay, and then how they took the scriptures and they made it about, they personified the deity. Okay, I said in the beginning, deities are celestial bodies. Okay, they are beings, okay, but they're not in the form that we are in. And so these celestial bodies have a divine aspect and a divine feminine aspect and a divine masculine aspect. And both of those aspects live within that celestial body. Okay? Just because of the shape of it doesn't mean it's not sentient. Meaning it doesn't have feelings, emotions, and all these different things. Okay, I need you to understand that. And so we saying we are aspiring to be a celestial body. That's what we're aspiring to be. We're aspiring to go back into our celestial state. Yeah, but I say God is nothing but a higher being and a higher frequency. These celestial bodies are higher frequencies. Okay, and so this is your deities. Okay, doesn't mean that they didn't come in human form, because look, we see ourselves. We project ourselves in many forms and many avatars. We project our consciousness to operate here. And so they have the same ability. And that's why you hear the movie, I go back to the Guardian of the Galaxy in Volume 2. Ego was moving and walking like a human, but he wasn't human. Okay. So he was a celestial being and he put on flesh. Okay. And so these celestial bodies have the same ability we have to project, even as our highest version of ourselves project many versions of itself in many aspects. They have the same ability. Okay. It's not just for us. They have that. All of everything that comes from source have that ability to project and emanate. Okay. And projection is just another word for emanate. Okay, so we know now the galactic sun, which they, you know, manipulated and called Jesus, is actually the sun, the galactic sun, sun. Okay, and so out of the sun, all creation manifests, the Father of all creation. So all creation came forth and birthed forth from the sun, the sun, which is the son, because the sun was the first that was birthed from the primordial waters. Okay, now I'm not talking about source. Okay, I'm talking because we know that Sophia is a universe, and Sophia gave birth to a son. Okay, and there your son go. Okay, and though they went in and said, yeah, about this and that, realize you have different quadrants of the universe, and different quadrants of the universe is ran by different deities. And so this is not the only solar system or galaxy. Okay, you have many galaxies, meaning you have many suns, which meaning you have many deities that have given birth and created. Okay, and so we're in our galaxy, we're talking about what's going on here. Okay, and so this is not the only sun. There are many suns, and some planets have multiple suns operating around it. Okay, so we know that this is not the only sun, but this is the only one that we concentrated on because this is the galaxy that we are in. Okay, and so we see that all of creation came forth from the sun, and this is mimicking the height, the height, or I'm going to say the height because all of it is the pleroma, which is the all. But you have the height, which means the upper eons or the upper realms. So all the lower realms are going to mimic the upper realms. And so, yeah, but I told you out of source came the first light, which they call the master power, which is what we call the most high here. The master power is the first light, just like the sun is Ra. Ra is a representation of what's going on in the height. Okay, and so Ra represents the master power in this realm. Okay, because Ra is mimicking what happened. Remember, I said that the lower realms pattern the upper realms. We are the eonic copies of what is real or what really exists, meaning we are a copy or we are a representation of what is above. Meaning, I am a representation of my higher version of myself. My higher version is not here, what they call the oversoul. Okay, the oversoul is another realm, but I was projected here, so that means that I am a representation of that which is above. So is Ra. Okay, so Ra was birthed from the primordial abyss, meaning that he's a representation of the master power, the master light. So we know that master power was the first light that came from source. Okay, and this is what Ra is representing here. And that's what all suns represent within the multiverse. And so in this universe, in this galaxy, Ra is a representation of the master power in the height. And so out of Ra came all of creation. Okay? And so you would say, well, no, 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 masculine can't do that. I'm going to show you how he was able to do that. Okay? And so now look at this. So we got first show you that it is a son, it's not a daughter, that gave birth to all creation. Okay, so galactic son is not a miswrite. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Ra was the king of the deities, okay, in which we know the son is, and the father of all creation. How was this accomplished? Okay, so we looking at this seahorse. And we know for a fact, we know this for a fact that the male seahorse gives birth. Okay? All those who say only females can give birth, I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about nature, and all of nature. It's always an exception to prove what's going on as above, so below. Okay? So Ra is the only masculine deity of all the celestial bodies that was able to do that. Okay. And so the seahorse is the below, is the manifestation of that representation. And so the seahorse, which is not flowers, we know flowers could carry both and they almost asexual. But I'm talking about a seahorse, which is masculine, and gave birth and gives birth to seahorses. Okay. And so you see this masculine male seahorse giving birth. Okay. The same with Ra. And so the mother, I was sitting outside, and the mother, she showed this. I don't know, it just came so clear while I was sitting outside taking in the rays of Ra. And I'm just like, whoa, That was an eye opener. Okay, so they didn't change everything. It's like, oh man, they made it all about the masculine. No, actually, the sun, which is the sun, did bring forth all of creation. Okay, but I'm about to show you how this was accomplished. All right, and so how was this accomplished? So look, even though the masculine seahorse is the one that's giving birth, guess what? It is the feminine seahorse that has to um, give forth her egg. So she is the one that's giving. He's the one that's receiving. We always say only the feminine can receive and the masculine give, but it's a switch and a reversal that happened right here. The female gave and the masculine received, and then later gave birth to seahorses. Okay, so she gave her eggs to the masculine male seahorse, and then he, um, what you call that? I guess what you would say he provided the seed for those eggs, and then he gave birth. He walked around with a big belly, and he gave birth to all these little seahorses. Okay, and so we know that Ra had many wives. Okay, which is not excuse me, it's not new. It's just early rising, and so I'm just clearing out my throat. But we know that Ra had many wives, which is not new for, I would say, Kemetic culture. Okay, I'm not going to say African because African is not an old ancient word. It's actually a new word. It's a modern word. But the Kemetic culture, it was nothing new for pharaohs and deities to have multiple, or pharaohs to have multiple wives. But his first aspect, this is the first wife, is Rayet Tawi, was the female aspect of Ra. Listen to that. I didn't say wife, I say female aspect of Ra. That's a divine feminine. So Ra carried with him the masculine and the divine feminine. Okay, in which celestial bodies are capable of doing this. And I told you that. I told you that higher beings, they call them androgynous. So Ra is an androgynous being. Okay, so it's an androgynous celestial body. Okay, so that means he has both masculine and feminine aspect within. And because of that, they can copulate internally without actually going out. Okay. And so we know about this in three forms of first start. When the mother says, I copulate with myself and I copulate with my members. Okay, and so she's telling you that she carried both within her the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And so the great mother is the divine feminine of source. And then you have the divine masculine of source. And so this is the great invisible spirit, or the great the ineffable one they always call. But this energies, they can come together and give birth. Okay, and this is how Ra was able to be the father of all creation, because Ra has a divine feminine side. Okay, and so Ra is not just masculine, Ra is feminine. Okay, and so let's go on to the next slide. And so I have proven this over and over through the Nag Hammadi. I have told you that higher beings, and not only me, many metaphysics teachers talk about the higher beings from fifth dimension higher. They carry both energies, so they know how to copulate within themselves. Even though they can copulate outside and have relations outside themselves, they are capable of doing both. Okay. So we have to stop looking at the duality. We want to create the whole universe, or make the whole universe how we operate here. And it doesn't operate like that. Okay. And so when we get past that, then it's easy for us to see how Ra was the one that gave birth to all creations, the sun. The SUN gave birth to all of creation, and it's not feminine. We like to put mother on everything if it gives birth. But in this sense, it was a divine masculine. I'm gonna go back to this slide again. We're looking at the seahorse. No one can say that that seahorse is a feminine seahorse that's giving birth. We have all. It has been proven time and time again that's male seahorse is the one that's giving birth, showing you that they're always going to be a representation of what is above. Always. I'm not talking about what they're trying to make happen as propaganda stuff. I'm talking about nature. In nature itself, there's always a representation of what is above. The flower showing you that divine masculine and divine feminine parts exist above within one being, because the flowers have that. They have the divine feminine and masculine on one plant. Okay? And so that's why the bees and all that, they have to carry the pollen and they bring it up to the feminine part of the plant so the plant can reproduce, right? Or you have plants where they have these long stems but they can reproduce themselves. Okay, showing that there are beings in a higher height that has the both energies, both divine feminine and masculine, operating within one being. Okay, and so this is showing here. This is a representation of what is above. This male seahorse is showing you that there are male entities or deities or celestial beings that are capable of doing this, which Ra is an example of that. Okay. And so let's go ahead. Ra had daughters. He didn't have one, but one we know as Sekhmet, the eye of Ra. Okay. And we know that the eye is synapse and is connected to for gate. And so the eye is a synapse for gate. And so we know that in the book of Enoch, they talk about this a lot and how the gates, how the sun passed through gates. So they're talking about the rays of Ra use the atmospheric sun as gates. Okay. And so Sekhmet, if she's a daughter of Ra, she would be a sun herself, right? Also known as our atmospheric sun, Greek word known as nemesis. And so we've been hearing this word nemesis, nemesis, nemesis is here, nemesis here. You mean segment is here. Okay, nemesis is the Greek equivalent to segment. Okay, and so the atmospheric sun is segment, the daughter of Ra, because she's the eye of Ra. And like I say, he had more daughters, and we know he had more children because we say we are the children of Ra, showing that Ra had a lot of children, right? And so these are the ones that have been recorded. Okay, so Segmet is a sun. Okay, Nemesis is the judgment of Ra, as people like to say, where the sun is becoming wrathful. Okay, and so this atmospheric sun is operating in a wrathful state, and we know segment for that. Okay, and so I'm trying to give you the correlation of what is going on. Okay, and so the atmospheric sun is segment, the daughter of Ra, and we know there's more than one sun, so Ra have many daughters. Okay, so these smaller suns or atmospheric suns are the daughters of Ra. Okay, and Sekhmet, when she's in a wrathful state, is known as Nemesis. And so we know Nemesis is here, and so that's Sekhmet in her wrathful state. Okay, so those men bore me away, and this is the secret, the book of the secret of Enoch. Okay, and so he's talking about, and I saw six gates open, each gate having 61 standa and a quarter of one stadium. And he's talking about how the sun passed through these gates. Okay, he's talking about the rays. But I have witnessed it, I saw it for myself. How the atmospheric sun, he's talking about, listen to this, watch. He says, understand they size to be so much through which the sun goes forth and goes to the west and is made even. These are the gates. They are gates. Okay. And so the atmospheric sun operates like a gate for the galactic sun. And then we have gates on this on Kai where the sun passes through. Okay, and I have witnessed it. I spent like 20 minutes trying to find that picture because I took a picture of it and didn't realize what I was taking a picture of. But it literally looked like the sun was cut off and it had a line right above the sun, a long red line. And I'm telling you, the sun was like literally the atmospheric sun was cut off. Okay, meaning I seen like the bottom half of it. So it was passing through the gates. to go, and that was right before sundown. Okay. And so it was literally passing through the gate. I went into the store, I came back out, the sun was gone. And now, we see the moon. But now the moon and the sun are out together, but I'm showing you how these sun passed through the gates. I was able to witness it for myself. Okay. And so they say the sun passes through the gates from and goes to the west. And then it's made evening, he's talking about. So it rises in the east, it sets in the west. Okay. So we're over here in the west, and that's why we always see the sunset more than we see it rise. We don't see it come through the gate, okay, when it rises, but sometimes we see it through people taking pictures and we saying, oh, that's a portal. I'm not talking about the dark rainbow portal. That's a different type. I'm talking about the one where it look like the sun is like literally chopped off. Like you got all this sky, and it's like, where did the top half of the sun go? Okay, so people taking pictures and they not even realize what they're taking pictures of. You're literally taking a picture of the sun passing through a gate. Okay, and so this is the gate. So that's showing accuracy to what was said in the books of Enoch. Okay, and so you have gates on Kai that the atmospheric sun passes through to be in different parts on different sides of Kai. Okay, then you have the sun, the atmospheric sun itself is behaving like a gate. It's an eye. Okay. So the atmospheric sun is an eye for Ra. It's the eye of Ra. So it's an eye. What does the eye do? It takes in light and it pushes out light, right? So we give out and we bring in. Light comes into the eyes, and then we have these cones that produces color and give us an image of what we're looking at. So light going in and out. So what you think the eye of Ra is doing? And so these daughters are the eye of Ra. They are the atmospheric suns that allows light in and light out. Light in and light out. So things are going in, things are going out. Okay. I told you these are portals. The suns, the atmospheric suns are portals. So guess what? Sometimes you'll look at the sun and you see all these beings, plasma beings on side of it, because the gate is open, so the plasma beings come in and they can go out. Okay. And so these atmospheric suns are gates, they're portals. Okay. And so I think I should have used portal. The eye behaves like a portal to say the eye is a portal. Okay. So not only mirrors are portals, your eye is also a portal. Okay, say your eyes are the doors to your soul. Doors are portals. Okay, and so we looked at it and we didn't even realize what we were looking at. So when the spirit was dropping these nuggets to me, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. Because we know it's an atmospheric sun and it's a galactic sun. And we know the one we're looking at is the atmospheric sun. Okay. And so even though they're saying, oh, the sun is so many miles away, it is. Okay, but then how does the sun seem like it's so close on our planet? Because that's a different one. That's the atmospheric sun. It's not the same one. And so our ancestors knew and they understood, but they put it in a way what we would say, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. Yes, they did. We just don't understand their language. Okay, and so this says segment is the eye of Ra, the atmospheric sun. That atmospheric sun is the eye. Okay. Ra is the galactic sun, which is the SON of what we call in Jesus in the Bible. Okay. And that galactic SON or SUN is what created all creation that's around it. Okay. And we know it's possible because we see it. And we see it manifest in nature that there are exceptions. That every once in a while an exception to the rule can happen. Okay. That masculine that representation of that, because like I said before, Ra is divine masculine and divine feminine is operating inside of Ra. And so Ra was able to give birth to all creation. And so it is masculine. The sun is masculine. Okay. Amun-Ra, which is the sun, that celestial deity, is masculine. So we got to stop making everything feminine because we are moving in our own duality on 3D, because the universe don't operate from a 3D duality. We do. See, the upper realms are moving far beyond of how we see life and how we have manifested it here. Because there was a time when we walked on this round where there was no such thing as two separate beings. Okay, there was a time when we were actually one being. Okay, and we carried both energies within us and we bud off and gave birth. Okay, and so I just want to go ahead and put that out there. I don't want to say too much because, like I said, it's not going to be a long video. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video. Have a blissful day. I just gave you something to think about. Share with others. Like the video and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. But I wanted to share this to give you some insight, and you can go research it for yourself and you come up with your own insight.